Good morning, my brothers. Today is December 20th. And so we turn to the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, for God's daily dose of wisdom. Now, I was reading through Proverbs 20, verse 12 jumped off the page, and it reads like this: The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord has made both of them. You know, as you go through Proverbs, there's all these pithy little sayings that are full of wisdom. And then you come upon Proverbs 20, verse 12, where it says, The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord has made both of them. And it's not a pithy saying. It's not a nugget of wisdom at first glance. And so what I've discovered is that something that appears obvious and plain isn't necessarily obvious and plain. There's probably a deeper meaning. And that's exactly what happened here with verse 12. I started looking at this and I asked, Lord, what is it that you're trying to say here? Because this appears to be a very obvious thing. The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord has made both of them. Well, of course. And then I began digging into it. And the hearing ear and the seeing eye are very different than just a plain ear or a plain eye. Yesterday we talked about that word hearing and how it's the word shema, and it means hearing with an intent to obey. And that's exactly the same word that's used here. And so he's saying that he is the one who is making us able to hear and able to obey and able to see and able to understand. And we get that from Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 10, where it says, Render the hearts of this people insensitive, their ears dull, and their eyes dim. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and return and be healed. Now, this is out of chapter 6 of Isaiah, which is a magnificent chapter. If you haven't read it lately, I encourage you to go back and read it, because in Isaiah chapter 6 is where we see the Lord high and lifted up. And it's the commissioning of Isaiah to go forth to his people. And we see Isaiah before the Lord, and he cries out, I am undone, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I come from a people of unclean lips. And the Lord takes the coal off of the altar, his glory, and he touches Isaiah with his glory, and he cleanses him with his glory. And what we're seeing in this Christmas season is a example of that very thing that happened in Isaiah chapter 6, where God's glory becomes incarnate, where his Son and all of his glory becomes incarnate and invades this world and brings his glory to dwell among us so that we might be made whole again, that we might be cleaned, that we might have our ears unplugged and our eyes unveiled so that we can see clearly and that we can return and be healed. You know that phrase in regards to seeing and understanding, there's a phrase that we say sometimes in our culture that I see what you're saying. Well, it's kind of an interesting phrase because you can't really see what somebody is saying, but it's an idiom or an expression that we use to exemplify the fact that we understand what somebody's talking about. And that's exampled in Job chapter 42, verses 4 through 6, where Job it's at the end of the book of Job, and it's after the Lord has chastised Job and has instructed Job. And Job says this. He says, Hear now, and I will speak. I will ask you, he's talking to the Lord, and you instruct me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Therefore I retract and I repent in dust and ashes. Seeing with the eyes and hearing with the ears is extremely important for our understanding. In this Christmas season, I pray that we have ears to hear and eyes to see what the Lord is doing both in us and through us. Because the enemy has thrown a blanket over this world, and it's trying to make the people's ears stopped up and their eyes dim so that they cannot see. Because in Isaiah, we understand if they see with their eyes and they hear with their ears, they will understand with their hearts and return and be healed. And that's exactly what the Lord is doing this Christmas season. It's revealing himself all over again to this world so that we can see him and hear him clearly. And when we do, like Isaiah, we'll fall on our faces and say, "Woe is me, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I come from a people of unclean lips." God's desire is that he take his glory and he cleanse us so that we can be vessels that he can use. In this Christmas season, I pray that our eyes are open, our ears are unstopped, and we're keenly aware of what he is doing in us and through us, because I do believe that he wants to reveal himself to this world in a way that their eyes are unveiled and their ears are unstopped, and they see him as he is, glorious, high and lifted up. God bless you, my brothers. I love you. Have a wonderful day. Go out and make a difference in someone's life today.